Hello friends, today we're talking about everything to do with reflux, gastritis and PPIs that no one ever explains the importance of stomach acid. We've got my little diagram here which we are going to go over and explain everything that you need to know if you're considering PPIs, on PPIs, dealing with reflux, gastritis, whatever it may be, just so by the end of this you have a good understanding of the stomach acid, okay? Now if you're wondering, who the hell is this guy to tell me what I should do with my body? Well, my name is Will. I'm a gut health coach. I'm a private researcher based out in London, and I have helped multiple people. Well, I've helped myself heal my chronic gut issues, but helped many others heal their chronic gut issues well. H. pylori, gastritis, SIBO, IBS, candida, whatever you name it, we've helped do that through our system. Okay, but specifically today, we're going to talk about PPIs, right? So what actually is PPIs? Well, PPIs, you probably would have heard of them as Azempro, Lansoprazole, omeprazole. These things would be considered PPIs, which are protein pump inhibitors, and they essentially block an enzyme that helps produce stomach acid. So you are essentially reducing the amount of stomach acid that you are producing, right? Let's get another pen here, shall we? Let's go for a smaller one. It's for reflux and gastritis. Reflux and gastritis. Now, PPIs can be used as short-term implementation to help give you relief of such conditions. They are used for other conditions, and of course, this isn't medical advice, so please do not stop any medication or change any medication if you haven't spoken to a doctor. This is only for educational purposes only, okay? This is your stomach, right? You have HCl, which is your stomach acid, hydrochloric acid. You have your enzymes like pepsin as well, which help break down protein. Right. Let's start off with reflux, right? Now, PPIs might reduce the symptoms that you're getting from this, the burning, the acid coming up. It might help short term, but we need to figure out the root cause of why you're getting these in the first place, okay? Now, the issue with PPIs is they reduce your stomach acid, which is a big issue, right? And it says on the Cleveland Clinic website, right, that if you were to take PPIs daily for 5 days, the drug would reduce about 65% of your stomach acid. 65% of your stomach acid has now been compromised because of these PPIs. Okay, maybe you get less burning, maybe you get less reflux, but what side effects is this having? Why do we even need stomach acid in the first place? Well, stomach acid is incredibly important for a few reasons, right? The role of HCl, which is your stomach acid, it's to break proteins down into amino acids so you can actually absorb them. It's to kill microbes and sterilize food, absorb minerals, release enzymes. So when you reduce stomach acid, you also reduce all of these, okay? So now you can't, break down protein as well, right? If you're trying to maybe progress in the gym or whatever, you're trying to hit your protein goal, it doesn't really matter if you can't break it down and produce amino acids. You now become more prone to infections because your stomach acid is your first line of defense. It's the first part of your immune system. So if you can't kill maybe a bit of bacteria that go into your gut, that can maybe flourish, you get more severe food poisoning. This might be the reason why you become ill so frequently. Of course, to absorb minerals. So maybe you get a blood test, you're low in B12, folic acid, calcium, zinc, and you're like, oh, maybe I need to supplement with that. But actually, it's because you can't even break down the food very well. And also to release enzymes as well, okay? When you inhibit your stomach acid, you also inhibit your pancreatic enzyme release and also your bile flow, which are also incredibly important for breaking down food as well. So your whole system can really be compromised when you're taking PPIs long-term by reducing your stomach acid. That's a really, really big issue, okay? So then you become bloated because, we can't break down our food. It's fermenting, causing gas. You get maybe more diarrhea. You get malnutrition. You feel fatigue. You feel brain fog. You get more ill frequently, right? This might sound a little bit familiar with your situation, okay? And that's the problem with reducing your stomach acid. That's the question that no one asks. It's like, well, sure, we can reduce my stomach acid, but what issues is that going to cause? Now, oftentimes people think they have high stomach acid, which can be the situation, but it's oftentimes very rare, okay? Now, let's get into it because people will take PPIs for reflux and go, well, I've got too much acid, that's why it's coming up. It's not usually the case. You actually have a valve called the LES valve, right? The lower esophageal sphincter, which connects your stomach and your esophagus, right? This valve is designed to let food come down and open, right? But also prevent acid from coming up, right? You have a valve designed for that. So we need to be asking, well, why isn't this valve working very well? That's the question. And that would potentially be the sorry, I got a notification, would be the root cause of your reflux, right? So when we're treating someone with reflux, or what I tend to do is we look at the three major causes of reflux, which is a potential overgrowth, right? Like, let's write these down for you guys. So this is for reflux specifically. My handwriting isn't the best, you have to bear with me. Will be potentially low stomach acid. So the reason for your reflux could be low stomach acid, because when you have low stomach acid, again, you can't break down your food very well. You get more bloating, you get more gas, and that gas actually is called and you actually get low stomach acid, which causes, maldigestion, and that causes an increase in pressure in the gut, which then can lead to heartburn and GERD type symptoms because of the actual low stomach acid as opposed to high stomach acid. That could be a potential cause as well. Another one is, again, overgrowths. If you're dealing with H. pylori or candida, things like this, that can potentially cause you to irritate the LES and cause some reflux as well. The other one is going to be vagal tone. Now, I have a whole video about vagal tone. It's also called the B1. So we're not going to go into it in this video, but essentially that's the signaling between your gut and your brain. And you might need the right signaling to actually help this valve open and close, okay? That could be the root causes, right? So these are the things that we actually need to work on instead of just relying on PPIs, because PPIs are treating the reflux, but what's causing the reflux? It's typically these three things for 90% of people, unless you have, I don't know, some sort of structural issue, right? Now, the other reason would be gastritis, okay? We have gastritis, right? Typically what gastritis is an inflammation of this gut lining, right? We have a protective mucosal layer, which I'll actually show you down here in our gastritis section. We have a mucosal layer, which protects our stomach, right? Because our stomach acid is so strong, it's a pH of 1 to 3, it could burn a hole through this table. So we need a protective layer to make sure it doesn't irritate the other layers of our gut. So that's where the mucosal layer comes in. If that becomes damaged or whatever, compromised, then the stomach acid is going to be irritating the other linings that it shouldn't, right? Again, I have another picture which I think will help you visualize it, which is here. Right, you have the mucosal layer, and then you have the layers underneath it. When that mucosal layer becomes damaged, that can then cause that burning sensation that you feel, which is labeled as gastritis. Then you're giving PPIs to give you some relief. Now, using PPIs to give you some relief isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just that if we continue to rely on them long term when we don't need to, okay, which could be an issue. So if we go back over to our stomach acid thing here. So let's have a look at gastritis then. And the reason it gives you some relief is because obviously you're reducing the stomach acid. So there's less acid to irritate that gut, the actual stomach. So it can actually help, especially if someone's in like really, really bad pain with reflux and gastritis. We're not trying to villainize PPIs because they maybe can be good used short term, but long term, it's not something that we want to rely on ideally, okay? And again, you might be asking, well, is this actually possible for me? Well, why not? Because we've actually done it for other people. We've helped many of our clients actually come off PPIs. Again, with, of course, medical intervention, they need to make sure they keep their doctor in the loop and make sure they're telling their doctor what they're doing, because you need to make sure that you keep them in the loop for medications. I can't tell you to do that. But we've actually helped people come off PPIs for both reflux and gastritis because we actually help them with the root cause of their issues. And again, you can have a look at those testimonials in the top link in my bio. And if you want to see how we can potentially help you with your situation, if you go to the top link in my bio, you can actually click the Work With Me button. We have a free discovery call where we can actually see potentially how we can help you, if we can help you, and then we go from there. That's all free, so you can book that in the top link in my bio if you're interested. Anyway, back to the gastritis. So with gastritis, we're taking PPIs, but the stomach acid was never the issue. It was the stomach lining, okay? It was the stomach lining that's the issue. Now, why would the stomach lining be compromised? Again, three main things that I see. First one, H. pylori. This is the biggest cause of gastritis and ulcers that I ever see. If someone ever comes to me with that's definitely not how you spell H. pylori. Guys, I don't know what's wrong with my spelling. Let's try that again. H. pylori. There we go. H. pylori. H. pylori does two things. It burrows itself into the gut lining because it infects the stomach, and that can cause some irritation. It also actively neutralizes the stomach acid. So not reduce the stomach acid, but makes it more of a pH of 6 to 7. You know, as I said before, it causes, your stomach acid should be a pH of 1 to 3. It now can cause that into into more of a neutralized stomach acid. And a neutralized stomach acid can make this mucosal layer less elastic, which then does a poorer job at protecting it from the stomach acid itself. And this is actually proven in the literature. If you are having any doubts, I don't know which one it is. Yes, here we are. H. pylori moves through mucus by reducing viscoelasticity and then reduces the pH because it secretes enzymes which neutralize the stomach acid because the H. pylori wants to thrive. And H. pylori is a bacterial infection, if you're not familiar, that if you are concerned with, you can get a stool test. There are many reasons why a stool test might not work. And if you are on PPIs, when you get a stool test for H. pylori, the false negative goes up by like 50-60%. So there's a lot of variables to this. Let's go back to what we're talking about. So we need to make sure that we're dealing with H. pylori. We might need to eradicate H. pylori, which typically we do with some antimicrobials. I have another video on it as well if you want to have a look into that. Another reason could be certain medications, right? This is big, right? I'm not even going to pretend to try and... Let's meds. Typically, the biggest two that I've seen and I've helped clients deal with is Accutane, funnily enough. I've had many people who like, oh yeah, I took Accutane, I started getting gut issues. I'm like, bingo, right? We have to reverse engineer why we're getting issues, and that's huge. Another one is NSAIDs. The biggest one in the UK is ibuprofen. I don't know what the equivalent is in the US. I think it might be Tylenol, maybe. Tylenol, which is proven to cause irritation to the gut lining, which would then cause you to have gastritis and that burning sensation in your stomach. Another one would be potentially if you've had really, really poor lifestyle and diet, if you really had a lot of alcohol, that can cause some irritation to the gut lining. Maybe really, 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 really bad diet. Although I would have to assume it'd be really, really bad because a lot of people eat really bad diet and don't get gastritis. So I typically think it's medications and H. pylori that causes gastritis. So then we need to reverse engineer and actually heal the gut lining, which we can do in many different ways in terms of, I have another video again on it, like aloe vera and slippery elm and zinc alkarcine, marshmallow, licorice root. These are all ways to heal the mucosal layer. And then if we do this, that's healing the root cause. We don't need PPIs. And this is actually incredibly simple. I mean, I think people make it very overcomplicated. I think for 90% of people, this would be all they really need to know to be able to heal that. Again, please talk to your doctor if you are going to cause any changes with this. It's just for educational purposes only. But that's everything you kind of need to know about the stomach acid. Okay, we have different ways of increasing the stomach acid. Of course, you typically don't want to increase stomach acid when you have reflux or gastritis, unless you knew that the reflux was caused by low HCl. But there's ways to do that gently, just so we know. We would never jump into like betaine HCl, which is a way to kind of recover the stomach acid, because it has a pH of 1. We might experiment with like a bit of lemon water first to see if that makes symptoms worse or better without causing any like devastating pain as well, because that's never what we want to do. As always, guys, if you have any other questions, just leave them down below. If there's anything else like topic-wise you want me to cover, of course, we have the full map of things that we can go over. This is specifically for gastritis, ulcers, PPIs, and stomach acid. But yeah, let me know and we can go from there.